So Space Marine 2 released a new trailer yesterday. Now you can pre-order and pre-purchase this game for 60 bucks on Steam or Epic. But I'm making this video to explain you guys that this is going to be a bad game and realistically you shouldn't pre-order this game at all. Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of Space Marines. I want to play as Lieutenant Titrus of the Ultramarines as I did in Space Marine 1. This is the character which matches my character of being strong and want to kill enemies as much as possible, and the combat and everything this game is trying to portray. But I have to stick to the reality. I have to stick to my experiences I had with this developer. My experiences tell me that this is going to be a bad game. I've played Space Marine 1 World War Z, which is the previous game Saber Interactive released. I've played this game for thousands of hours, like about 7,000 hours, and in fact my entire channel is dedicated to World War Z, and I'm probably one of the best players that World War Z game has ever seen. I practically know every single thing that a player can know in this game, and I have known Saber Interactive for 4 to 5 years, and Saber Interactive isn't a good developer at all. I just read this report from yesterday where they revealed their classes and what they are going to do. So it says here basically that the game is going to have a sniper class which has camo cloak that allows them to sneak past enemies. Now you do not want to have cloaking, stealth or masking effect in a game, because every time a game has added this, it has ruined the game. This is the same problem in Warhammer Darktide, this is the same problem in Warhammer Vermintide, this is the same problem in World War Z Aftermath, Saber's previous game. All of these games have cloak effects, masking effects. In World War Z it's way too much, it's way too overpowered. It literally breaks the game, because every time you use this cloaking effect, it's going to break the aggro and the enemies are not going to stay there. They are going to run to other teammates and going to harm them. Now I've made another video to explain this and to kind of rework this to make it better, but I don't think Space Marine 2 and the developers are going to add such a mechanic in this game, because I don't think the developer is good enough to think about all of these things. But nonetheless, camo cloak is really bad for gameplay. If you are looking for good gameplay on the hardest difficulty and trying to be the best player, then this is not the game, because every time you are going to go invisible to the enemies are not going to stay, they are going to go to other teammates, and it is always going to work as a crutch. It is always going to be easy, it is always going to be unbalanced, because this creative director Oliver Hollis is not a good creative director. He doesn't really know how to design game, how to balance game, because the previous game World War Z Aftermath from the same developer isn't a balanced cooperative game at all. Space Marine 2 is going to be the successor to World War Z Aftermath. It is the same studio, it is the same developer, St. Petersburg Saber Interactive, and they are not going to change overnight or in a couple of months. So whatever happened to World War Z, whatever is happening to World War Z, the same stuff is going to happen to Space Marine 2 as well. So look no further than looking at World War Z Aftermath if you want to know about Saber Interactive and the future of Space Marine 2. And honestly, World War Z is a bad game ultimately, and Saber Interactive is a bad developer. Now the reasons for this are, firstly, Saber Interactive doesn't really have any contact with the player base. They do not talk to the top players, they do not play test the players who are actually playing the game every single day. They do not hear any bug reports at all, because a lot of bugs they haven't fixed since the release. Like, I just played couple of games hours before and I still get invisible and ghost enemies or zombies on my screen, and many people are having these issues. I still get issues where one swarm zombie stuck on a fence will just insta kill me like that, and these are the bugs which are in the game since the release, since 2019, and have been reported, and they are not fixing it. That is why you shouldn't pre-order this game at all, because the same stuff is going to happen to Space Marine 2. There is no difference at all. Now, couple of other reasons why World War Z was a bad game is because on the hardest difficulty, because I always play games on the hardest difficulty and be good at them. Now, on the hardest difficulty in World War Z, Saber Interactive just gave console players 50% more health and 50% more melee damage with extra aim assist. Now, this makes console players really tanky and this makes the game unbalanced. Console players and PC players aren't playing the same game at all on the hardest difficulty, and no other game literally gives console players extra amount of health on the hardest difficulty. And it is a lot of health when you think about it. It is just that the community and the developer itself doesn't really care about any balancing in this game. The other reason is because over the years they have added so many updates in this game that they have literally broken the game up until the point that you can't really play the game on the hardest difficulty. Because when you add a lot of updates, when you keep adding perks and grind, it only buffs the player. The players have gotten stronger and stronger over the years, and the hardest difficulty isn't the hardest difficulty at all, because the players are buffed up to that point where the game is just a walk in the park. The same stuff is going to happen to Space Marine 2 as well. Another reason is because this game has aim assist. It has very bad bullet magnetism, where your bullets really do not land where you should. They just get attracted to the enemies even if your crosshair is bad. I've explained this in my other videos, and I've made many videos where I've fully explained how Saber Interactive completely ruined World War Z Aftermath, the previous game they made. Another reason why World War Z is a bad game is because it is not a cooperative game at all on the hardest difficulty. Like, if you look at the perks and everything, the game is literally working against teammates when you use your abilities. That is not how a game should be designed. A game should be designed where your abilities and your class perks work together. They always favor the teammates rather than working against them and then have to bandage the problem the abilities have created. This is a bad game design, and this is why World War Z is a bad game. And the same stuff is going to happen to Space Marine 2 as well, because it is the same developer, it is the same creative director, Oliver Hollis, and it's not going to change. I want to end this video by saying that I love Space Marine games, I love Lieutenant Titus, I love World War Z game, and at the end of the day, at some point I want these games to be good games, good cooperative games, good challenging games where you have fun with your friends and do challenging runs on the hardest possible difficulty and work together in a cooperative way. But it is not going to happen realistically, because the creative directors and the people in power are not good enough to think beyond their selfish motives. These AAA studios nowadays are not making games to last for eternity. They just want to make games to sell and nothing else. And this is the reality. How much ever you want to change it, it is going to be the same. And the money is yours ultimately. If you want to spend 60 bucks, it's nothing. 100 bucks, it's nothing. You can still get around 500 to 1000 hours in these games, and it's going to be worth it for your money. But if you're looking for a long-term fun game which is actually having a lot of depth and the developer is actually good and communicative, unlike Saber Interactive, which has no forum, literally they do not have any forum or discussion at all. They rely on Discord for reporting and everything, and if you go on the publisher's page, it is dead since 2022 because the publisher hasn't been in contact with the developer at all. They just left them, and there hasn't been any information to the community at all. People are still posting stuff and they literally do not get any replies. So this has been the case with World War Z, and this is going to be the same thing with Space Marine 2. It is not looking good. Just be realistic. Again, the money is yours. I'm going to make future content about World War Z only, and to explain the swarm mechanics and the flaws with swarm mechanics, and probably it is going to be the same in Space Marine 2. Stick around if you are interested in that, otherwise I'll see you guys later.
My pledge is eternal service. Xenos inbound! Eviscerate this abomination! Come forth and be slaughtered! Open the gates. Care to see who can slay more Xenos, Brother Chiron? I thought a piece of that statue would offer more sport. Hold them back, damn it! For Ultramar! For the Emperor!